Hi guys, this is John from WaltonsInc.com and this is Meatgistics. We wanted to see what would happen if we went just over the top and tried to make the best burger we could. So I went and grabbed some chuck beef, some pork shoulder, some bone marrow. I smoked some of our high temp cheese. I got some bacon, I have some eggs, and then we put them all on some tasty Hawaiian buns. So I went ahead and I ground the pork, the beef, and the bone marrow. I used 70% beef, 30% pork, and just a single package of the bone marrow for about 6 pounds of burgers. Really, really good decision because you could definitely taste that bone marrow in there. Much stronger than the time I used bone marrow in the past. Came through really nice. Now, I also used the Montreal patty mix seasoning. Really nice classic flavor. I didn't want to go with something like the jalapeno, which is what I usually do, because I wanted to see what the smoky flavor of the cheese would do. Definitely gave it a nice smoky flavor. We did this all in our new Broil King. We used the side burner. We had our Jim Beam 12-inch cast iron skillet over there. I just fried up some bacon in that. And then instead of putting anything else in the pan to cook the eggs, I just cooked it in the bacon grease. Really nice. Toasted the buns. We even had some onions that we were caramelizing on there. All in all, it came out delicious. So what we've got here is on the very bottom, we've got our burger. On top of that, I've got some bacon and I've got my fried egg. Then I've got tomato, and we went ahead and used Terrapin Ridge Farms bacon aioli on the top. So we've got bacon in there and bacon aioli. I mean, this stuff is awesome. I have eaten too many of these already. This one has been out for a while, but it's still gonna be delicious. Hi guys, this is John from Meatgistics University, and this is Specialty Sausage 104, how to make blood sausage. Now, blood sausages have been around for thousands of years all over the world. It's commonly mixed with a grain or other coagulant to thicken the blood, and then it's stuffed into a casing and either cooked or dried. Now, it's called blood pudding in the UK, Blutwurst in Germany, Boudin Noir in France. I mean, almost every country has their own name for it, and they can differ either slightly or wildly, but they all share blood as a main ingredient. Now, we might have already lost some of you as we're starting to talk about blood, but don't be put off by that. When properly prepared, it can be delicious and perfectly safe. Now, we're going to make a version of this that should be fairly doable for the home processor, and we're going to be making just about 5-pound batch. Now we'll make a slurry out of all the ingredients and then stuff that into a natural casing. Before we begin, you're going to need 3 pounds of pork butt, a ½ pound of pork fat, 2 cups of really finely diced onions, a ¼ ounce of Sure-Cure, 2½ ounces of Swiss style brat seasoning, 1 ounce of carrot fiber, and of course you're going to need the pork blood. Now for things like pork blood, you should be able to get them from your local butcher. If you can't, then a local Asian supermarket is often a good place to find these odder ingredients. Now, just to make sure everything will be ready, you're going to need to go ahead and soak your natural hog casings in hot water so they're going to be ready when you need them. Now, it's always important to make sure everything is kept cold when making sausage, but it's especially important here. So we're going to put our entire head assembly of our grinder, including plates and knives, in the freezer before we start grinding. We're going to go through a 3/8 plate first and then a 3/16 plate. On that second grind, that's when we're going to add our additional pork fat. After you've ground, put the meat in the fridge for now. Dice your onions up very finely and caramelize them in some of the extra pork fat if you have any left over. If you don't, just some regular vegetable oil will work. Next, in a clean bowl, add the onions, meat, seasoning cure, half the carrot fiber, and then start adding blood about a pint at a time and start mixing. Keep adding blood and carrot fiber until you've achieved the desired consistency. It will be a thick slurry, but we still want it a little bit liquidy. Now, if this is taking you more than a few minutes, I'd recommend you put this mixture back in the freezer for a few minutes before going on to the next step. You're going to load your stuffer with the mix and load on your natural casings. You need to be very careful here not to create any air pockets. We're going to start slowly cranking the handle so that the mixture comes almost to the end of the stuffing tube, and then you want to tie off the end of your hog casing. Now, stuff carefully. You don't want to deal with any blowouts here. Remember, an understuffed casing can always be twisted a few more times to firm it up, but a blowout and you're done. Now we're going to twist and tie off each of these casings so that everything stays where it needs to be during the cooking process. And we're going to cook these by poaching them in 170-degree water for 15 to 20 minutes to firm them up. We're using our VacMaster SV1 cooker for this, but you can just use a pot of hot water that you're able to stabilize at 170 degrees. You don't really want to go any beyond 170. Now we're going to remove them from the water and smoke them at 180 degrees until the internal temperature is 160. Or you can add them to soups or other dishes, however you want to cook them. We're going to smoke them over apple. All right, so we're back, we're all done. We went ahead and poached them for 20 minutes. Then I put them in a smoker, left them in there for about an hour and a half over apple. I just wanted them to dry out a little bit and get some of that smoke flavor. And then just to make sure it was perfectly safe, I put them back in the sous vide in bags, and I did that for about 45 minutes at 170 degrees. So they ended up at about 163 when I tested them, and I've got to say, much better than what I was thinking, or at least what I was fearing. Texture's really interesting. That might be because of the amount of carrot fiber we used. Not off-putting really at all, which is what I was kind of expecting. And as you can see, it's really a beautiful purple color. You can see good sized chunks of the onions in there. And all in all, like I said, just to prove that I'm not lying to you guys, the flavor is pretty good. That Swiss style is nice and balanced. It's not too strong. You get a little bit of an earthy flavor, which I'm assuming is the blood, but all in all, really not bad. Probably not something I'm gonna make a ton of times, but like around Halloween or if you have somebody visiting from overseas, pretty cool thing to make for them. Hi guys, this is John from Walton'sInc.com, and this is Meatgistics. We wanted to see what would happen if we went just over the top and tried to make the best burger we could. So I went and grabbed some chuck beef, some pork shoulder, some bone marrow. I smoked some of our high temp cheese. I got some bacon, I have some eggs, and then we put them all on some tasty Hawaiian buns. So I went ahead and I ground the pork, the beef, and the bone marrow. I used 70% beef, 30% pork, and just a single package of the bone marrow for about 6 pounds of burgers. Really, really good decision, because you could definitely taste that bone marrow in there. Much stronger than the time I used bone marrow in the past. Came through really nice. Now, I also used the Montreal patty mix seasoning. Really nice classic flavor. I didn't want to go with something like the jalapeno, which is what I usually do, because I wanted to see what the smoky flavor of the cheese would do. Definitely gave it a nice smoky flavor. We did this all in our new Broil King. We used the side burner. We had our Jim Beam 12-inch cast iron skillet over there. I just fried up some bacon in that, and then instead of putting anything else in the pan to cook the eggs, I just cooked it in the bacon grease. Really nice. Toasted the buns. We even had some onions that we were caramelizing on there. All in all, it came out delicious. So what we've got here is on the very bottom, we've got our burger. On top of that, I've got some bacon, and I've got my fried egg. Then I've got tomato, and we went ahead and used Terrapin Ridge Farms bacon aioli on the top. So we've got bacon in there and bacon aioli. I mean, this stuff is awesome. I have eaten too many of these already. This one has been out for a while, but it's still gonna be delicious. Hi guys, this is John from Meat Your Sticks University, and this is Specialty Sausage 104, how to make blood sausage. Now, blood sausages have been around for thousands of years all over the world. It's commonly mixed with a grain or other coagulant to thicken the blood, and then it's stuffed into a casing and either cooked or dried. Now, it's called blood pudding in the UK, Blutwurst in Germany, boudin noir in France. I mean, almost every country has their own name for it, and they can differ either slightly or wildly, but they all share blood as a main ingredient. Now, we might have already lost some of you as we're starting to talk about blood, but don't be put off by that. When properly prepared, it can be delicious and perfectly safe. Now, we're going to make a version of this that should be fairly doable for the home processor, and we're going to be making just about 5-pound batch. Now, we'll make a slurry out of all the ingredients and then stuff that into a natural casing. Before we begin, you're going to need 3 pounds of pork butt, a half a pound of pork fat, 2 cups of really finely diced onions, a 1/4 ounce of Shircure, 2.5 ounces of Swiss-style brat seasoning, 1 ounce of carrot fiber, and of course you're going to need the pork blood. Now, for things like pork blood, you should be able to get them from your local butcher. If you can't, then a local Asian supermarket is often a good place to find these odder ingredients. Now, just to make sure everything will be ready, you're going to need to go ahead and soak your natural hog casings in hot water so they're going to be ready when you need them. Now, it's always important to make sure everything is kept cold when making sausage, but it's especially important here. So we're going to put our entire head assembly of our grinder, including plates and knives, in the freezer before we start grinding. We're going to go through a 3/8 plate first and then a 3/16 plate. On that second grind, that's when we're going to add our additional pork fat. After you've ground, put the meat in the fridge for now. Dice your onions up very finely and caramelize them in some of the extra pork fat if you have any left over. If you don't, just some regular vegetable oil will work. Next, in a clean bowl, add the onions, meat, seasoning cure, half the carrot fiber, and then start adding blood about a pint at a time and start mixing. Keep adding blood and carrot fiber until you've achieved the desired consistency. It will be a thick slurry, but we still want it a little bit liquidy. Now, if this is taking you more than a few minutes, I'd recommend you put this mixture back in the freezer for a few minutes before going on to the next step. You're going to load your stuffer with the mix and load on your natural casings. You need to be very careful here not to create any air pockets. We're going to start slowly cranking the handle so that the mixture comes almost to the end of the stuffing tube. And then you want to tie off the end of your hog casing. Now, stuff carefully. You don't want to deal with any blowouts here. Remember, an understuffed casing can always be twisted a few more times to firm it up, but a blowout and you're done. Now we're going to twist and tie off each of these casings so that everything stays where it needs to be during the cooking process. And we're going to cook these by poaching them in 170-degree water for 15 to 20 minutes to firm them up. We're using our VacMaster SV1 cooker for this, but you can just use a pot of hot water that you're able to stabilize at 170 degrees. You don't really want to go any beyond 170. Now we're going to remove them from the water and smoke them at 180 degrees until the internal temperature is 160. Or you can add them to soups or other dishes, however you want to cook them. We're going to smoke them over apple. All right, so we're back, we're all done. We went ahead and poached them for 20 minutes. Then I put them in a smoker, left them in there for about an hour and a half over apple. I just wanted them to dry out a little bit, get some of that smoke. And then just to make sure it was perfectly safe, I put them back in the sous vide in bags. And I did that for about 45 minutes at 170 degrees. So they ended up at about 163 when I tested them. And I've got to say, it's much better than what I was thinking. Texture is really interesting. That might be because of the amount of carrot fiber we used. Not off-putting really at all, which is what I was kind of expecting. As you can see, it's really a beautiful purple color. You can see good-sized chunks of the onions in there. And all in all, like I said, just to prove that I'm not lying, like I said, just to prove that the flavor is pretty good. That Swiss style is nice and balanced. It's not too strong. You get a little bit of an earthy flavor, which I'm assuming is the blood. But all in all, really not bad. Probably not something I'm going to make a ton of time, but like around Halloween, or if you have somebody visiting from overseas, like around Halloween, pretty cool thing to make. Somebody visiting from overseas, like around Halloween, pretty cool thing to make. Somebody visiting from overseas, like around Halloween, pretty cool thing to make. Somebody visiting from overseas, like around Halloween, pretty cool thing to make. Somebody visiting from overseas, like around Halloween, pretty cool thing to make. Somebody visiting from overseas, like around Halloween, pretty cool thing to make. Somebody visiting from overseas, like around Halloween, pretty cool thing to make. Somebody visiting from overseas, like around Halloween, pretty cool thing to make. Somebody visiting from overseas, like around Halloween, pretty cool thing to make. Somebody visiting from overseas, like around Halloween, pretty cool thing to make. Somebody visiting from overseas, like around Halloween, pretty cool thing to make. Somebody visiting from overseas, like around Halloween, pretty cool thing to make. Somebody visiting from overseas, like around Halloween, pretty cool thing to make. Somebody visiting from overseas, like around Halloween, pretty cool thing to make. Somebody visiting from overseas, like around Halloween, pretty cool thing to make. Somebody visiting from overseas, like around Halloween, pretty cool thing to make. Somebody visiting from overseas, like around Halloween, pretty cool thing to make. Somebody visiting from overseas, like around Halloween, pretty cool thing to make. Somebody visiting from overseas, like around Halloween, pretty cool thing to make. Somebody visiting from overseas, like around Halloween, pretty cool thing to make.
The poltergeist.
Yes. I'm going to turn the unit on and off. Or did that stop? There we go.
Got audio.
All right. Whew. Sorry about that, guys.
It wouldn't be a live stream if if we didn't have problems.
It wouldn't be. I'll tell you what. To make up for you guys for that, what? To make up for you guys for that, what? Every time we start. To make up for you guys for that, what? Every time we start. To make up for you guys for that, what? Every time we start. To make up for you guys for that, what? Every time we start. To make up for you guys for that, what? Every time we start. To make up for you guys for that, what? Every time we start. To make up for you guys for that, what? Every time we start. To make up for you guys for that, what? Every time we start. To make up for you guys for that, what? Every time we start. To make up for you guys for that, what? Every time to make up for you guys for that, every time to make up for you guys. A bunch of pre-shot footage and some new equipment, which is part of the reason that we had some technical difficulties. I won't blame it all on that, but part of it. So we've got. Okay, both are on. Yep. All right, so is anyone hearing an echo now?
I hear it on my side.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't believe these guys. They say it works, and then it doesn't work.
I don't know. I trust Hope Ford. She says it's working now, so. All right. First quick rundown, fourth time. We're going to draw a winner for August, which is the Weston Meat Grinder. While this live stream is going, which may be days at this point, You can enter at waltonsinc.com/live to win the Walton's Ultimate Knife Set. We're also going to draw a few extra winners for you guys being patient and hanging around for Walton's hats and t-shirts. And then we're going to talk about how to make snack sticks. So we've got a bunch of pre-shot footage that we can use to hop around to show you what we're talking about and to answer any questions that you guys have. So if we're talking about stuffing and you have a question still on grinding, let us know. We'll try and hop back to that to still show you. So while we might go in order, it doesn't need to stay strictly in order. All right, so also new technology. We got something so we can use multiple cameras and show you guys some pre-shot footage. So sorry about that. We will try to do a better job in the future of just knowing all the functions. I mean, it's pretty complex. So you go to waltonsinc.com/live. Over on the right-hand side, there should be 3 ways to enter. All right, so they've been patient. Actually, it's only been 7 minutes.
It felt like an eternity.
It did feel like really long.
You looked a little stressed over there, and I think you just went through 1 or maybe 2 eternities. But
we never had that problem. Yeah, we had other problems. We never had that problem. But let's go ahead and draw a winner for August.
Okay. From August, we had, how many entries did we even had? There were like 50,000 some entries. We're going to draw 1 winner. And the winner has been selected. I like doing it my way.
I know you do.
So I'm going to do it my way again. But the winner is from the center area of the country.
God, that's so...
The winner is out of St. Louis, Missouri.
Close?
We are...
Cheap to ship?
Oh, yeah, cheap to ship. Good. Hey, saves us maybe $5.
Yeah.
Perfect. Julie Murphy. So Julie Murphy from St. Louis, Missouri.
So congratulations, Julie. If you're watching, I'll go ahead and email you on Monday. We'll get your information, or Tuesday. We'll get your information, get it all sent out to you. Congratulations. I saw Michael Baldwin. Oh, nope. Somebody was asking how to, Michael Person was asking how to participate. Just go to waltonsinc.com/live. That's going to get you entered. There are options there to enter to win the Walton's Ultimate Knife Set. In general, you go to waltonsinc.com/win, and that has all the options to enter to win our monthly giveaways. And speaking of that, also another thing we're going to do is announce this upcoming month, September's giveaway. And we're giving away another sausage making kit. So it's going to be the 11-pound stuffer, which is what we almost exclusively use in here. I mean, if we're making a huge batch, if we're using a huge batch, I'll just go into the test kitchen and use the hydraulic. When I'm hand cranking, I'm really only using the 11-pound. I do it all by myself, so I just clamp it down to this table, and it stuffs really easy. The 26 and 33-pound, using it by yourself can be really difficult.
You pretty much have to have someone there to help you if you're using one of the bigger ones. They can work okay, but you got to have 2 people there.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, I've got gorilla arms, so if I can't do it,
I think you're talking
it's
yourself
not
up
really
a little bit,
doable. Okay. Hope, how's that shirt, hat working for you? I can't remember what we sent you, but making in 2 batches due to the size of my mixer. I'm using an 80-20 venison burger, but I need to add more fat. So when you're saying 80-20 venison burger, is that 80% venison, 20% hamburger, or do you know that your fat on that venison mix is 80-20? I'd be super surprised if it was, for 1. And for 2, venison is not good fat to use for snack sticks. If you're making venison snack sticks, I'd highly recommend you choose leaner cuts, cut the fat out, and get your hands on either some straight pork fat and go between 70-30, 80-20 is a little bit lean, 75-25, somewhere in that range. It's going to give you a better product. And if you can't get your hands on straight pork fat, go 50-50 mix with your venison and pork butt.
Yeah, pork. He said pork
okay.
Was already added by the butcher.
You're fine. If you're going 80-20, I'd recommend you use Sure Gel, something like that. Super Bind's real good. You can use carrot fiber. Carrot fiber is a good moisture retention. The more I've been thinking about this, because I've always recommended carrot fiber to people because it's incredibly inexpensive for what it does. I mean, it does a great job. But in my opinion, if price doesn't matter, I'm going Sure-Gel, even over Superbind, I think.
Probably, yeah.
But Sure-Gel's main drawback is its price point.
Yeah, it is more expensive.
But if you've spent all this time and money getting your deer.
In the grand scheme of things, the amount of cost it adds per pound of meat is negligible.
Right.
You divide it out on how many pounds you're making, and it's not that bad.
Not much.
But yeah, Sure-Gel, I mean, is probably the best binder for making some type of cured sausage, but still is hard to beat carrot fiber in certain situations, like especially on like fresh sausage. Somebody asked that question I think this week. I wouldn't use Sure-Gel if you're making a fresh sausage, but if you want to add some type of binder, moisture retention additive of some sorts, carrot fiber is great even in fresh sausage.
Yeah, so it's definitely the way to go. So hard to get pure fat. I use 50/50 pork butts. Yep, that should work out really well for you. Pork fat used to be super available. You could go to almost any butcher, and they were some of them were just giving it away. But now, more and more people are wanting it, so it's got a premium on it. There's only so much that they cut off at the butchers, so unfortunately, it's harder to get. A potato sausage recipe with venison. Our Excalibur's book has a good potato sausage recipe.
Yeah.
I think online has something good too. But he's looking now.
Swedish potato.
So meat snacks on the table. These are two. This is a chorizo snack stick. So the only difference here from regular chorizo is obviously A, it's in a snack stick form, and B, we didn't add any vinegar. So it's got the chorizo taste without the vinegar, but it's not crumbly. Really good, very, very nice taste. And I mean, I love anything we do our chorizo in. And I don't know if he's here or not, but if anyone's looking for stuff to do with the chorizo seasoning, go over to Meatgistics and look at Joe Hell's 2 posts on chorizo. He made chorizo cauliflower on the grill that looked amazing. He did some chicken wings. He did all sorts of just absolutely delicious stuff. I think we released it already. It was our Seasoning Sunday that we released on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter earlier today. And the other one is pepperoni that we went ahead and added small amount of high-temp mozzarella cheese. Patrick, our video editor, was wanting to try it, so made it up. Absolutely tastes delicious. In a snack stick form, there's not really much else you can do with it other than just eat it. I mean, you can't really add it to cooking, which is why we don't do it a lot. But awesome taste. Really good. Obviously, it goes great with the mozzarella cheese. Jason says he had an audio error and had to restart. Hope I didn't miss anything. Jason, I doubt you had an audio error. We had an audio error. So
hey, if they want to take the blame, sure, I'm okay with that.
In fact, Jason, your audio error was affecting everyone else. So there you go. Thanks for biting the bullet on that one. Okay, so a couple things I wanted to show you. We don't have pre-shot footage of this, but a question we've been getting a good amount recently is about resurfaceable plates and knives and throwaways. So there's a couple ways you can tell. One, any plate that has this nipple on it is almost always going to be resurfaceable. I mean, 90-something% of them. So that's one way you can tell. Another way you can tell, I'm trying to see. Nah, it's not going to be easy to show, but if it's really shiny when you look at it, that's probably not resurfaceable. So this is a Weston plate, and as you can see, it's extremely shiny. This is a resurfaceable plate. It's a little bit duller, so that's a good way to tell. If it's super shiny, it's just a throwaway plate. So you use it until it's dull, and then you toss it. Nice thing about these is they are reversible. You can just flip them over, get a couple more uses out of it. Kind of hard to see. They both look shiny under all the lights, but pretty good. And then on knives, the two easy ways to tell is if it looks like a propeller, This is a throwaway knife. You just use this a few times. As soon as it's dull, you toss it out. It also doesn't have these inserts. If it has these inserts, that's a good way to be able to tell that it is resharpenable. Now, for the different sizes, there'll be different fees for us to sharpen them, but it's still far cheaper than buying a new plate and knife. What's up, Patrick? You want to try it again? You what? We're good? Okay. It's still a lot cheaper than buying a new plate and knife every time. Now, the initial investment's going to be a little bit more expensive. Not terribly, though. After you've sharpened your plate or knife once or even twice, even with shipping, you're definitely going to be cheaper than you were if you had to buy that many plates and knives.
Mm-hmm.
So, something to think about. All right, so do we want to start talking how to make snack sticks? Do you have other things you want to talk about?
Cut back to Swedish potato real quick.
Okay.
I did find the recipe on that. It's fairly simple. 70-30 pork trim with the Swedish potato sausage seasoning we have. The biggest difference on anything is you also are supposed to add 10 pounds of French fries.
Yeah.
That's to a 100-pound batch, so it's 10%.
2.5.
So whatever your meat block is, add 10% in French fries, and you only grind them once.
But they're frozen.
Frozen,
French fries.
yeah,
Right.
frozen. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for a Swedish potato sausage seasoning, try out that the one that we have. Add some French fries to it. Be really good.
Do you want me to throw a post on that on Meatgistics?
If you want to.
Just to let her, yeah. So check on Tuesday or Wednesday on meatgistics.com. I'll put all that information into just a post, a regular post on the meat processing board or something, just so that you have it somewhere that you can look back at. Don's asking, he's already bought the Willys. Willys is great, love that. 19 millimeter collagen, yeah, it can be used for any meat, but what's the best meat? I like making snack sticks out of just pure pork. I mean, pork butt works great. It's got a good amount of fat. It's got the right amount of fat. It's got a high quality fat. So I like pork butts more than anything else. Now, you're free to use anything. Some people make them out of beef. Obviously, a ton of people make them out of venison, elk, wild game. But if you're just buying everything from the store, just buy some pork butts. Do you sell snack stick seasoning that tastes like ham? I had a ham and cheese snack stick from a gas station. It was delicious and expensive. I don't think so. Nothing.
You could do that though. I mean,
How much math would that take? Figuring out the cure? What he's talking about is you could use the blue ribbon maple bacon cure for ham to make a snack stick, but you're going to have to make a lot of conversions for the ingoing amount of nitrate. Actually, the first question is, are you selling this? If you're selling this, the answer is no, you can't do that. If you're doing it at home, my biggest fear is that it would taste super bland. Because those ham seasonings aren't calculated the same way as snack stick seasonings are. So my fear would be that you'd end up with a really bland tasting if you tried that.
yeah, there's not much like seasoning to it. It's mostly salt,
Yeah,
sugar, cure.
I'm gonna go turn the air down a little bit more.
Okay. One of my thoughts is if you want to get as close as possible with just like a traditional seasoning, something we already have, try the bacon flavored snack stick. That one's already kind of designed to have a stronger pork flavor in it, and it's not overwhelming like a Tex-Mex snack stick would be. You could try something like that. It's going to be more of a, it's not going to be a ham flavor, but at least more of a pork flavor in general. So Nick, what if you took cured ham and ground it up? That would be an interesting one because you could, but you couldn't put too much in there. Because if you take something that's already been cured, already been cooked, when you try to bind it up in the snack stick, it is not going to want to hold together very well. So you're going to have to use probably 10% or less, like you would use on other additives like high temp cheese, use a 10% ratio. So you could probably try it with a already cured ham, cut it up, grind it up, just use maybe 10% or less. 10% would be enough that you'd get some flavor out of it, but the rest of the meat mixture would still be able to bind in and hold all of that. That might be worth something for us.
Actually adding ham?
Trying, yeah. It'd be just something interesting to do.
Yeah.
But
You know, there was adding pre-cooked ham to that jambalaya thing I was talking about the other day. So if we did that, we could kind of test them both at once.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's an interesting idea.
Did you hang your links or lay them on the rack?
Always hang.
Always hang? Yeah.
Always hang. It's just, in my experience, you can get a lot more in there. You have to be a little bit careful with how you hang them. Just make sure that you're not letting them touch. And it's not going to be the end of the world, but you won't get as good smoke adhesion, or you won't get any smoke adhesion when they're touching, and you have some appearance issues. Now, what I used to do, for whatever reason, I used to loop them. Like, I'd take one huge long string, loop them up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And that's stupid. You're just giving yourself twice as many bent pieces.
You always cut the bottom.
So I just loop them over and cut, loop them over and cut, loop them over and cut. Much easier that way. And we did our Meat Fact Friday on this also, but if you ever see around the edge of your casing, like on the meat, just on the inside, like some pink after you've made snack sticks, it's nothing to worry about. It's just what we call casing bleed. It's usually from when you either take them out of the smoker and throw them into an ice bath and then put them in the fridge overnight, or if you're not adding a cure accelerator and you're storing them in a meat lug in the fridge for about 12 hours, if they're touching, there's a good chance that moisture builds up, and I mean, these are dyed, so it will bleed into your meat. Nothing to worry about. I've heard people call or say that's a smoke ring, a curing. It's not. All it is just casing bleed. So. Oh, Jason now has, so maybe it was you. Maybe you did have a problem on your end. Are you SBB?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a thought on that. People probably don't want to
Adding encapsulated citric
hear it.
acid.
Well, no, I was going to say that if you have a shelf life problem, it's probably the quality of product or the sanitation
Sanitation.
that went into it. Yeah.
The best way to increase, well, make sure everything's perfectly clean. Make sure you're sanitizing everything before you use it. Make sure you're using good meat. Those are just kind of basics. Best way to increase your shelf life is to lower the pH. Add encapsulated citric acid, add something like that. If you are adding anything that's raising the pH, stop. I mean, I love using cold phosphate on certain products, but I'm certainly not going to use it on anything that I want to extend the shelf life on. I'll use it if I'm making like a brat out of chicken, and I know I'm going to freeze a bunch of them. That's fine. You can do that. But if I want it to last in the fridge, got to keep that pH low. Commercial processors will put in like a pound of encapsulated citric acid to 100 pounds. And at that ratio, they don't even really need to test it. They just know that it's going to be the proper pH. No need to tie the cut when hanging. Nope. Jerry, you shouldn't have any problem with that. Depends on what style of casing you're using. If you're using smoked collagen, at least our smoked collagen, no. It'll hold it all in there. You should be able, if you've gotten proper protein extraction, you're using something with the fat or the correct fat content, you should be able to open that smoker at the end of your cycle and there shouldn't be anything on the floor. I mean, there should be very, very, very little on the floor. No actual meat, just some fat drippings is gonna happen.
The very end of it, Tim, it may dry out like a little bit, but you're only talking about like a half inch or an inch.
Yeah, it's not much.
Yeah, not much at all. Usually, I mean, you're going to cut those off anyways to make snack sticks that have a nice chopped end on both sides, so you're not losing anything there at all. These are sitting here. I think I'm going to eat them.
Okay. That is the pepperoni side. No, did you take it from over here?
Yeah, I grabbed the chorizo.
No cheese is chorizo. Stuffing with jalapenos, do you mean like jalapeno peppers? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we sell the dried jalapenos, rehydrate them, 5 parts water to 1 part jalapeno, and then using between 3 and 6% of your product's weight, which sounds like a lot, until you remember that those jalapenos, 5 times their weight is actually water weight, so it's not that much. But that'd be like in a 100-pound batch, that'd be 6 pounds of rehydrated jalapenos. That's for real spicy. For more mild, it's 3%. So just find whatever you like in there, if that's what you meant. If you're talking about fresh jalapenos, it's okay. I don't like it as much as the dried jalapeno flakes. The one thing I just tell people not to do, unfortunately, because I love the taste of them, are the pickled jalapenos. I've seen some people say you can blanch them, you can rinse them off real well, but that kind of gets rid of the taste that I like about the pickled jalapenos. Yeah. The problem with that is it has a high probability that's going to denature the meat around that piece. So you're going to end up with a couple of things. One, you're going to end up with a void around it. Your meat won't look right. Also, it's going to be off-colored. So.
Yeah. And if you want to get some of that back, I mean, you're talking, it's a vinegar taste. It's tangy. Add encapsulated citric acid, yep, and at least get some of that tang back to it. That'll at least help a little bit.
Yep. Quickly. I know we're eventually going to go over how to do all the snack sticks, but brand new seasoning, oh, that's not even available on the website yet. I can't say this.
No, just tell them it'll be available soon.
Soon we're going to have a new seasoning available. We've already got it in stock. It'll be, I don't know, it'll be available soon. Hatch green chili sausage. It's phenomenal with just some hot pepper cheese, which is really just Monterey cheese, or Monterey Jack, they call it. So it doesn't really add any heat to itself, but it does add a nice cheesiness to it. It is phenomenal. I ate way too much of it yesterday. I took home some leftovers, ate them, the leftovers from stuffing, and just ate a ton of them. They are delicious. So sorry to make you want something and not let you have it right away.
Joseph is asking if we have a mix for turkey sticks. One of the things I'd kind of say that is kind of encompasses everything is that it doesn't matter what type of protein you're using. The seasoning is pretty much going to be the same. Obviously, some flavor profiles fit better with different types of protein. But just because it says on a snack stick, or the bacon snack stick, doesn't mean you have to use that with pork. Yeah. You can use it with beef, you can use it with venison, chicken, turkey, doesn't matter. The flavor's going to be different in each of them, but it's designed to make sausage correctly with any type of protein.
Colton, our storeroom manager the other day, let me know that Philly brat is way better with venison than anything else. So if you like it with beef, he said you'll love it with venison.
Interesting.
I saw something where someone said they were afraid they didn't let the cure work long enough.
There was SBeeb.
Oh, the few days.
From the shelf life question.
Gotcha. All right, ever use a Pearson square to calculate fat content, or do you use, i.e. 20? I don't know what a Pearson square is, do you?
Yeah, I've never heard of that. Google it real quick.
So yeah, no, I just use it by weight. If it's a pork butt, I'm going on. First of all, that's another thing we should talk about, is not all pork butts are created equal. You want untrimmed pork butts. Sometimes at discount places you'll see trimmed pork butts. They're not useless to you because they do have some intramuscular fat, but you want that nice fat cap on the top. That's what's going to get you to the 70-30 range. Without that fat cap, you're probably at best 80-20, most likely below that. So look for a nice thick fat cap that hasn't been cut into too much. Yep, that's a very good point that David says. Make sure you get to 165 with your poultry. Do not stop a second early. So we've talked about it a few times in the past. We tell everyone to get to 160 because that's the moment of instant lethality. There are lethality treatments that don't get up to 160. For example, 158 degrees for, it's quick, like
1 second.
Yeah, for a couple of seconds, whatever, and that's technically lethality. We say go to 160 because it's foolproof. Just C160, you're done. No worries about it. There are also those for poultry, but I would never recommend anyone use them. Always make sure you go to absolutely 165. Just kill off anything, because getting sick from undercooked chicken is not fun. Or undercooked anything poultry.
Medium rare chicken is good from Nick.
Hey Nick, how you doing? Hey, Scotty's here. All right, so we're gonna start running through the how to make snack sticks. You good with that?
Do it.
Okay. All right, Patrick, can we bring up just the first thing, which is deboning meat? So what we're doing here is we're making sure we're cutting the meat into sizes that our grinder can handle. If I'm using a large 22, I don't have to cut it quite as small if I'm using an 8 or a 12. It needs to be in sizes that are going to fit down in the throat. And as you can see, I'm not really too worried about getting huge pieces off after I've cut off, because the bone's still in there. So I'm cutting off where the bone is and everything else, and then I'm coming back.
You're using your favorite knife.
Yes, of course I am.
Instead of a boning knife?
No, I don't like the boning. Well, I use the boning knife to bone, and then I use that to cut.
Okay.
So, as you can see, the first thing I'm doing is separating that large amount that's not bone. After I've done that, I'm going back and boning out. Now, you saw that at the very end there. How much you get off the bone is up to you. It's how much you need. I generally say if you're wanting to do 25 pounds, buy 30 pounds of bone-in pork butts, because you're going to lose at least 5 pounds of it. I mean, unless you want to be picking off every little bit of that bone, and I don't want to do that. So a good tip on that is wear a Hex Armor glove. I don't know if anyone sees this, but I'm missing the tip of my thumb yet again. Just wasn't paying very close attention. I have a thing of super glue around here at all times. I just zip, close those right up. So.
I don't want to, I just don't want to know.
They're blood snack sticks, just like blood sausage. Yeah. So separate the two, get your bone parts, get your parts that are just complete pork, lean and fat, separate them, start boning them out. Make sure you're getting as much or as little off the bone section as you want, and then cut up your other pieces into small enough pieces to fit down your grinder throat easily. A good tip, freeze it after, not before you bone it. Part of my problem the other day was I was trying to cut up on more frozen pork butts, so I was pushing a little bit harder than I would, slip, and there we go. A normal man would have gone to the emergency room. I just put some super glue on it. So then, yeah, throw it in the freezer. I like to do it 10 to 15 minutes, but we have a blast freezer. It's a sub-zero freezer that will just about get the outside frozen in 10 to 15 minutes as long as it's cut up into chunks. In a regular freezer, that's 40 minutes. Do yourself a favor, just get an instant read thermometer. Once the center of your pieces is reading about 30 to 32 degrees, you're good to start your first grind. So if we can go to grinding. Oh, yeah. Another good tip is make sure that you put your grinder head, your entire assembly, your plates, knives, throw it in the freezer. I've got it in ice there to make it go or cool up even faster. That's just going to prevent any heating of this plate and knife before the meat gets there. The friction that metal knife is going to create on this metal plate can really hurt your protein as it's going through. Now, once the fat gets there on the cold meat, it'll cool it down, but that initial half pound, whatever, is already going to be damaged. I mean, there's nothing you can do to get that back. Another important thing is make sure you're oiling your plates and knives. This is a 4-ounce bottle of white oil. That's $4, $5, $6. It's not much, and it lasts forever. We've had this in here as long as we've had Meatgistics. You just spray a tiny little bit onto a napkin or a paper towel, run your plate over it, run your knife over it, and you're good to start grinding. It also will extend the life of your plates and knives because it's not going to be that initial heating which is where some, if not most of the wear and tear happens. So freeze your grinder head assembly, plate, knife. All right, can we go to grinding real quick? So putting it down the head there, as you can see, I'm pushing as much down. Now, we're doing a speed test here. So would I always push it down like that? No, most of the time, especially if it's really cold. I'm just gonna put it down the throat, let the auger pull it towards the plate and knife. And this is a 3/8 plate we have on there. As you can see, it's a big, chunky, thick grind. Goes really fast. Even if your meat's not that cold, that's gonna go really quick. Doing a 10-pound batch, 4 or 5 minutes, tops. No problems there. If you have a smaller grinder, I'd recommend that you take in another 20, 30 minutes at this point. Take your meat lug, throw it back in the freezer, and chill that up. It's really ground at that point. I can't think of it. It's got a lot of surface area, so it's gonna freeze pretty quick, and it's gonna make your second grind much, much faster. Trying to use a small grinder with a 3/16 plate is gonna, no, 1/16. Yeah, 1/16. Trying to use a small grinder with a 1/16 plate is gonna take forever unless your meat is super cold. So think about it like this. If the meat's cold, it's easier for the auger just to push it down. There's less chance of it skipping back over that auger in the throat. So if it's cold, it's gotta go where the auger's pushing it. If it's warm, one, the fat will be sticky and it can grab onto the sides, but it can escape back up over the auger, or if it's cold, it's just being pushed down. You'll notice a huge difference. So yeah, it might take you 20 minutes to get that good freeze on it, but A, it's gonna make your grinding faster, and B, you're gonna have a much, much better product at the end because your proteins are gonna be a lot better protected. Yep. Oh, yeah. So what I was talking about there. So there you go. As you can see, I mean, it's a very fine plate. That's this plate that they can't see.
Yeah, they can't see you.
So as you can see right there, you see how it's got nice definition between the fat and the lean. You've got specific white parts. Those are the fat parts. If you're looking at it and it all just kind of looks the same shade of pink, what you're doing is smearing your fat there, and you've got one of two problems. Either A, your meat's warm and it's just all getting mushed together as the auger tries to push it up against the plate, or B, you've got a dull plate and knife. Best thing to do is take a plate, take a knife, marry them together, and don't ever use that knife with another plate. That way they're gonna wear at the same rate. So that's gonna extend your plates and knives because you're not gonna have a dull knife beating up a fresh plate, but it's also gonna let you know that when it's time to either sharpen or throw away your plates and knives, you just do it as a set. It's a lot easier. And I know that seems simple coming from us as we sell them, but still, you're gonna give yourself a much better product. Once you've smeared the fat, you're gonna have a host of problems later. You could be doing or trying to get protein extraction. You could have sticky meat, but what you actually got is fat that's encapsulated the protein and it's just around it. It's never actually mixing. So do yourself a favor, use sharp plates and knives and use cold meat. All right, so after you've done all your grinding, you can throw it back in the freezer at this point. If you went through the whole grinding process, especially if you've done a small grinder and you hadn't frozen it at any point, I'd go ahead and do that. One, just for meat safety. I mean, we're adding cure at this point, but to this point, this has been an uncured product. So I'd throw it back in the freezer, but if not, go ahead and add all your meat to a mixer if you're using a mixer. If you're not using a mixer and you're just using your hands, go ahead and add your seasoning. So all your seasoning into it. Add any other additives you want except for don't add any encapsulated products like encapsulated citric acid. And we like to save the cheese to the last 60 seconds usually. Maybe not quite as important, but we still like to do it. As you can see there, that water looks a little bit pink. That's because I've mixed my cure in with my water. It does help with dispersion. It's not 100% necessary. If you're mixing properly, you should get good coverage out of it. But since you're adding water anyways, just be safe. Go ahead and mix it in with the water first. And with a meat mixer, like the Weston 20 or 40 pound, you're gonna do a total of 8 minutes of mixing. I like to do just 2 minutes one way, 2 minutes the other way, 2 minutes one way, 2 minutes the other way, if I'm using the hand crank. Now the 40 pound, is it 40 or 45?
44.
44. The 44 pound mixer actually hooks up to some of the Weston, the larger Weston grinders, and it'll power it for you. You're only supposed to go in the forward direction with that. So just 6 to 8 minutes or whatever in one direction. You'll know you have enough mixing when A, you can obviously see there are no more clumps in there. You don't want to leave anything all clumped up. While that might make for one great bite, like if you get that nice clump of seasoning, which I love when that happens, the rest of it's going to be more bland, and that's just not worth it. But, also, during the last 60 seconds is when you want to add the encapsulated citric acid and the cheese. So if you add the encapsulated citric acid before the last 60 seconds, you run the risk of mechanically breaking the encapsulation, which is cottonseed oil, on that, and it's going to release the citric acid into your meat too early. What that does is denatures the proteins, and once your proteins have begun denaturing, you are out of luck. You're not going to get a protein extraction on it. As far as protein extraction goes, Patrick, can we bring that back up? Sorry about that. You know you have good protein extraction when you go to pull the meat apart and it gets stringy like that. You don't want to see where you just grab it and it pulls. You can also just hold your, grab some, kind of make a little fist, hold it up, and if it's pulling like that when you're stretching it or just stays in your hand like that, you've got good protein extraction. If it just breaks right in half or you're holding it and it just drops all as one, you need to keep mixing. If you're doing it with your hands, wear cotton gloves underneath your nitrile gloves because your hands are going to freeze. And I have cold hands anyways. I hate mixing by hand. It can be done. It's just a little bit more difficult, easier with a meat mixer. So there you go. There's some more protein extraction. You can see it's real stretchy. Something that's interesting is in this type of mixer, you will notice, you could look at it and tell when it's got proper level of protein extraction. With those commercial mixers, you can't look at it and be like, that is not extracting at all. Pick it up and it's sticky and just looks totally different.
Some of it, I think the retail ones they're probably partially smearing the meat because they're not as efficient as the commercial ones. Get your hands on a commercial one for anybody out there and go for it.
You get beautiful particle definition, nice like clear clumps of fat, and it's still perfectly sticky. It's nice to use. All right, so we've added seasoning, we've added the binder, and okay, showing protein extraction. All right, so when we go to stuff, what we're doing here, and Patrick, can we pause that? Is that possible? So what I like to do is load it about an eighth of the way up, maybe a little bit more, and then pack it down. What you're doing here is two things. You're obviously going to be able to fit a lot more meat into the canister, but B, you're getting air pockets out of there. There's nothing that's, well, there's more annoying things, but it's very annoying when you're stuffing and you get to a point where more air than anything else is going out into your casing. It ruins your stuff. Everything around that air pocket is not useless, but it's not going to be a viable product. You're certainly not going to want your friends to eat it, let alone sell it to anybody. So just pack it a little bit, push it down, pack it a little bit more, push it down. And then, so on this, we've got a 19 millimeter collagen casing on our 12 millimeter stuffing tube. So the tubes that they come with are 12, a 22, pause that, a 12, a 22, and then two larger ones, which I can't remember the size of right now.
Good.
It doesn't matter.
I don't
For
know.
snack sticks, it doesn't matter. But the 19 millimeter casing fits perfectly on a 12 millimeter stuffing tube. You shouldn't have any problems. It should fit nice and snugly on there. Now, if you get a whole string of collagen of the 19 millimeter, you're going to have to break off some of it as it won't all fit on that tube at once. But, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Now, as you can see right there in that picture, you can just faintly see some swirls that run down the casing. This is how we know we have a properly stuffed casing. You don't want your casing to be perfectly smooth during this process. If it is, you've overstuffed it. That could lead to snapped casings during smoking. You're close to a blowout. It's not going to hang properly. So you want to just be able to vaguely see that swirl pattern going down. It's about every inch to inch and a half once it's stuffed. Now, if you see that way too easily, then it's going to be an understuffed casing. I mean, that's just going to change the the consistency of your product. Yeah. That's overstuffed. So that's way too smooth. Can't really see anything.
As soon as you take that and try to hang it over a smoke stick,
it's going to pop.
You're going to break it.
Yeah. There you go. You can see the swirls again right there. Down, down, and down.
I don't want to give you too many props, John, but that actually looked perfect.
They all look perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, and then for smoke schedules, I mean, that's going to be, okay, sorry. So what we've got there is what's called backflow. As you can see, the end of the stuffing tube is well past where I have the casing. What's happening there is the meat's coming out, meeting the casing, and getting pushed back over the end of the stuffing tube. It's going to create a few things in your product. You'll have a swirling pattern inside. It's not that big a deal with snack sticks, and it's really not even that big a deal for the average person. I mean, that's more for like if you're doing a competitive, yeah. Right? They don't want to see that swirl pattern in there. But you don't want it to happen, so just make sure you're holding right at the end of the stuffing tube.
That is honestly, in my opinion, one of the hardest things to do when you're stuffing.
By yourself.
Well, yeah. Either way, is keeping it like right perfectly there at the end.
Yeah.
Because the casing is coming off as it's sheared, so as it's coming off, it's shortening. So you're constantly having to move, and it's difficult.
Yeah, it definitely takes some practice and some concentration. Now, we also, Patrick, did we put in the sheep casing things? We didn't put those in here? Okay. I'll go ahead and, somebody asked on Meatgistics, they use sheep casings for snack sticks, and they were having a hard time getting the 22 to 24 millimeter sheep casings onto a 12 millimeter stuffing tube. We went ahead and shot some footage of that. I'll just go ahead and throw that in a Meatgistics post next week so that you can see it. Did it with the home pack casings, worked no problem. Did it with the tubed casings, obviously, that worked absolutely no problem. But that's another thing. I don't like the idea of using natural casings for snack sticks.
I think it's weird. I think it works perfectly fine. It's going to give you a really nice snap to it, which is one of the things you look for in a snack stick. Yeah. You want the casing to have some firmness to it, but then they're curved, and no one is used to that in snack sticks.
Right.
The reason people use the naturals is because they're used to having like a bratwurst that is curved, or an Italian sausage. But in snack stick, that's totally different. I mean, from a practical standpoint, it's perfectly fine. I just personally think it looks weird to see a curved snack stick. But
yeah, I don't know. In my mind, smoked collagen is what you use for a snack stick. But I mean, whatever. Yeah. To each their own. We don't discriminate.
Scotty's Backyard Barbecue is a good point. In the 70s, all that we had was natural casings. Yeah, and that's some of it goes back to that on familiarity with people, what they're used to, what they've used for the last 50 years. Collagen has not been around forever versus natural casings have been around forever. I mean, it's a natural product. It's hog or sheep intestines. That's what people have had for centuries, thousands of years to make sausage. So.
Yeah, there wasn't much that was better in the 70s, really, though, was there? Music was pretty good.
I disagree with that.
Cars were pretty good. Yeah,
disagree
American
with that.
muscle cars. No, not disco. Did you say disco? Definitely
No. I said disagree with that.
Oh, what did you think was better in the 70s?
Nothing.
Oh, that's what I just said. I said things weren't.
Oh, things weren't better.
Weren't better.
Oh, I thought you said they were. I'm like,
no.
You're out of your mind.
No, I'm not that crazy. I was using 1921 millimeter for for snack sticks. So Dave, were you getting a big curve on your snack sticks? Also, a different Dave Malek asked, do you ever add the seasonings and cure to the meat before you grind? Before I grind, no. During the grind, yeah. In between the grinds, sometimes. Generally, the way it works is I'm doing everything by myself, and I can't always get to cleaning things as quickly as I want. So if I was just looking at you for
no reason.
Particular
no
reason.
Okay.
The reason I don't really do it much is once that protein extraction happens, which really starts as soon as the salt is introduced to the meat, it's going to start stiffening up. And down inside that grinder head, even with a grinder head brush, if you leave it for a couple of hours, which I am going to do because I'm doing other things, it is a pain to clean up. So I just want that meat to be as easy, or that cleanup to be as easy as possible. But yeah, it's perfectly fine to do it in between the first and second grinds. Oh, Michael, there is no great way. Somebody once recommended I buy some pieces of bread, put it in there, and it should push the rest out. I tried it, didn't work great, so didn't really recommend it. As anything, yeah. So what he just said, I love making patties out of it. In fact, that's kind of what the whole beginning behind the ultimate burger, whatever thing was, is I decided I like burgers better out of pork. So I started messing with 50-50. I added different things. So for anyone who hasn't seen it, we have a video out there somewhere on YouTube about the best burger ever. It is like 70% beef, 30% pork, and beef bone marrow. It is perfect. And smoked high temp cheese. So we took some high temp cheese, threw it in the smoker, cold smoked it for like 30 minutes. Can't remember exactly what, but oh, that was so good. Haha, they use salt, Peter. Yeah, don't use that anymore. But there's probably nothing wrong with it. Right? There's probably nothing wrong with it. Yeah? There's something wrong with it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It may work fine, but as far as is it right or wrong, I mean, that's something I don't answer.
Oh, I don't think they're...
Like USDA, it depends on just, would the USDA allow something like that?
I don't think you can anymore.
Then probably I'd say no.
Yeah, but don't you think it's probably just that there's a better way to do it now, not necessarily that there was anything wrong with saltpeter?
True.
Yeah.
Quite possibly.
I don't know. My mom used to rub whiskey on my gums when I was...
My wife won't let me do that to our son.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What a huge surprise. I knew Jenny would be a good mom. Have you ever smoked your snack sticks? So yeah, that's all we do. We don't, I mean, we've done them in the oven in small batches just to test what propping the oven does. But absolutely, smoked snack sticks better than any other way of cooking. Yep, so Tim says he's used the natural casings, struggles getting them right out of the package, yeah. The tubed casings are a little bit more expensive, but if you can afford it, it is such a time and even more importantly, aggravation.
Yeah.
With the small ones, like the 22, 24 sheep, trying to flush the casing from the inside, trying to get that hole open at the top as you're running water through it, you could go nuts.
It's maddening.
You could go nuts doing that. Like you're like, I see the hole. Why isn't the water going in there? But yeah, you don't have to flush the tubed casings. Just literally soak them, take them, throw them right on. And with that tube, they're super easy to get on. Hold it on. It's even got like a thumb hole and just pull it right out. Casing on, tube's gone.
Jumping way back up here, trying to find where we left off on comments while we were showing videos there. Scotty's Backyard Barbecue is saying we use Crisco at work for the dyes. Give you one tip for like the grinder plates and knives.
Oh,
some people call them dyes.
Gotcha.
I'd be really hesitant about telling anybody to use either vegetable oil or shortening, which is typically vegetable shortening. Same thing. If you use that for lubrication, you're likely to have things gum up. it seems like it's a lubricant, but as soon as it starts moving and heat is generated, it'll start getting gummy, and it actually will work against you. That's why we use white oil. Otherwise, why would you use white oil? I mean, vegetable oil is everywhere. You can pick it up anywhere it's cheap, but the white oil is different. It doesn't break down.
Right.
The vegetable oil will break down versus this. The downside would be it's a more manufactured product, but
yeah, it's very highly refined.
It's totally food safe,
right?
But that is not going to break down.
So vegetable oil, I'm 100% with you on that. And I guess I'm struggling with seeing Crisco breaking down, or like gumming up and breaking down like that.
I think Crisco is the same type of thing, unless I'm wrong. It's
I thought
still
Crisco
like
was more like tallow.
I thought it was still like a vegetable based.
No, Crisco is solid.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe you're right.
I don't know.
I know he makes a lot of snack sticks though. Yeah. That could make some sense. Yeah.
Another good comment from Scotty's Backyard Barbecue. Phosphates take 10 minutes to mix into water. That is a good thing to bring up. A lot of times I forget about it, but phosphates do not mix into water well. It takes a long time to mix them in properly. Yeah. So if you are adding a bunch of cold phosphate or something to it,
it should be the first thing you add.
Yeah.
Too. Don't add anything else first, because what's going to happen is if you add the cure first, cure is going to suspend, and then that water is not available to accept as much as it was, and the phosphate just won't suspend.
Adding dry ice chips to the meat before grinding. Did you see that one?
Dry ice?
Yeah. I have seen things like that done before.
Burn the meat?
No. I don't think so.
Have you ever touched dry ice?
Oh yeah, it's really cold. Yeah.
It burns, like it burns.
Well, it's not burning. I mean, it's cold.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Like you get a blister from it.
Yeah, just because of the temperature change, I mean, in general. So could you hurt things? I don't know. I've seen it done, but where I've seen it done was probably in a commercial meat plant that had tens of millions of dollars in there. You can use things like that. You can even, if you're doing some serious commercial production, a lot of times guys, they can even have like liquid nitrogen type of stuff, kind of like the dry ice, super cold things.
Right.
You're going to use that to maybe cool down your pork faster if you're trying to do like pre-rigger pork. I don't know where the science comes in and where it helps, where it hurts. So I'd be nervous telling a guy at home, hey, do it. Is there a way out there to do it? Maybe. But from home, I don't know.
I'm going to argue that when they use the liquid nitrogen and stuff like that, they're cooling stuff around the meat. They're not actually coming in contact with the meat. That's one. Two, can I bring some dry ice in here to try that with?
Yeah, yes. You can try it if you want.
All right. We will get an answer on that for you in the next couple of weeks. We will try, was it during the grinding process? Is that what they said, or mixing? Grinding or mixing?
Meat before grinding. So
okay.
Before, during grinding.
Yep. We'll add it and then we'll grind. Definitely have to make sure it's all dissolved before you put it down the grinder. If that hits the...
Nah, it'd be fine.
There's no...
Steel is harder than the ice. It's just cold. Cold is not going to hurt the steel.
If you break... So, right. So it's coming down. Solid piece hits this, breaks the ice. It's going to pop. Now, it might not. It's not going to blow up the steel, but it's going to cause a problem for sure.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you should do that then. Let's see what happens. And,
we'll make Patrick do it.
I'll be listening to see if there's a big boom coming from the back here.
But we would definitely try that. Dry ice between grinds, first and second. Okay, so you got it ground, throw in some dry ice quickly, lower the temperature. That makes more sense. Oh. Somebody was telling me the other day that moose sticks were the best of any of the wild game. I can't remember who it was. Oh,
I don't know.
I know. Don't hold me to this, but for anyone who watches, can I say this? About Nick?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. For anyone who watches Nick's Wild Ride, we're going to be doing some advertising sponsorship with him. We're also going to hopefully get him down here, get him in some segments, get him in some commercials. For anyone who hasn't seen any of his stuff, I'd absolutely recommend you do it. It is fascinating. He does some awesome, absolutely amazing stuff in the middle of absolutely nowhere. Gorgeous scenery. He knows what he's talking about as far as hunting, camping, living outside. So yeah, I think it was him. I was talking on the phone 2 weeks ago or so. I might be wrong there, but I think it was him.
So I found an answer on the liquid nitrogen, carbon dioxide. It's actually liquid carbon dioxide. What they use.
They do it in the chipper, right? I think Dylan was telling me that.
Maybe.
It's like when you're chipping the meat.
Yeah, I think there's multiple ways to do it. Sometimes it's ground or chopped, chipped, whatever, then mixed in. Sometimes I think it's done during the process, but no, they do it in the meat. So it's not like around the other stuff that's there. So I mean, they're putting it in there. It's all going to gas out.
Yeah, that's different because it's carbon dioxide, though.
Is it?
I don't know why.
Oh, just because you want to be right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. What is dry ice? Carbon dioxide, though?
No. You can probably Google it quicker than I can. Michael, they're coming good, actually. We've made progress on that. Someone's asking about the leather aprons.
Oh.
They're coming good. We're really excited about this.
I'm still waiting for an update there, but yeah, we finally made progress. It was a struggle.
If we get what we're expecting to get, they look good.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. And reasonably priced.
Yeah. That was the big thing, is trying to source them, finding something that was not going to cost everybody like $200 plus.
All right, so CO2.
Yeah, so it is CO2. So yeah, dry ice will be fine. I think that just goes back to, I don't know what those commercial guys, I don't remember. It's been a long enough time. I don't know what they were doing, if it was anything special or it just gases out and it's fine. There may be something else to it. There may not, but one way or another, you can do it.
As long as you make sure it completely dissolves.
Yeah.
I think you're fine.
You don't want to stuff before it's all completely dissolved, because then you're going to cause a problem. But if it's during the grinding and mixing phase, should be fine.
We will test that out in the next week or two.
What I'd suggest is when we test it, we're going to turn the AC off, close the door, and bring in like 200 pounds of dry ice, at least, maybe more. And we'll just let you and Patrick stay back here, and we'll see. I'll come check on you 3 or 4 hours later and see if you're passed out on the floor.
Cases of beer pressed up against everything. I'm also going to use our little 750 watt Weston number 12, so if we blow something up, we don't break my nice grinder.
Oh, if you blow it up, we'll just go get a new one.
It's also less metal to create shrapnel.
Would you rather have aluminum shrapnel or stainless steel, though? Stainless steel is probably less likely, so you might want to use the big one.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I thought you meant would I rather, well, whatever. It doesn't matter if it's metal and it's blowing up, I just don't want either one.
If you're the person doing it, yeah. If I'm the person that's watching this happen, I think the blowing up sounds kind of interesting. But no, it'd probably be a bad idea.
So Scotty's saying they only add dry ice if it goes above 41. That's another good one, just in general, guys. As you're processing, having that instant read thermometer, and just even after your first grind, just put it in the middle there, see where you are. You're going to be way better off adding 30 minutes to your processing time by tossing it in the freezer if it starts getting up around 40 degrees than you are ruining an entire batch.
I'm hoping that I'm not misinterpreting
No,
this, but
you got it right, Nick. An acetylene torch. Also, can we talk about what we're? There's no reason why we can't, right? Bring up brand names? No.
I don't care.
Okay,
We're fine.
This is the first time I've ever had something called a white stout. Dragon's Milk now has a white bourbon barrel aged stout, and it's fairly low in alcohol content, but extremely tasty for anyone who likes stouts, but really confusing. Like every time I take a sip, it tastes different than what I'm expecting. So favorite ingredients when making snack sticks? I think you're asking like what I like to see in a prepackaged seasoning, but I'm going to answer it two ways. If like you're talking additives, I like to add encapsulated citric acid. I like the tang. I also like the fact that the lower pH, the better my shelf life is. So I add 4 ounces to a 25-pound batch, and I know that it's going to be at least more shelf stable than a normal snack stick. I also like to add high temp cheese. While I don't like adding a lot of it, I think our instructions say add 1 pound of high temp cheese to every 10 pounds of meat. Personally, I think that's too high. I like to add 1 to every 12.5 pounds, so 2 pounds to a 25-pound batch. I think that's perfect. Now, if you're talking about what my favorite ingredient is as far as what I like in the seasoning, it's so basic, but salt, because it is the most important part of any of the seasonings, especially on a cured sausage. It's going to start solubilizing the proteins in the meat. Obviously, it adds flavor. It also acts, as a shelf stabilizer. That's the wrong word, but it makes the meat last longer. And then, I really like just pretty hot stuff. Like our Gigawatt is one of my favorite seasonings here. So anything that adds a good amount of heat, even a little bit of heat, like paprika, obviously red pepper, black pepper. Cumin is also a favorite of mine. I like it in a lot of things. Cumin's in chorizo. I love that seasoning. So. Oh, doing elk jerky on a smoker with ghost pepper. So tell me more about the ghost pepper. Is it ghost pepper you grew or bought and ground, or is it like ghost pepper seasoning? What are you doing there? I love ghost pepper. Our ghost pepper cheese, for anyone who hasn't tried it, if you like heat and you like adding high temp cheese to things, you have to try our ghost pepper cheese. Not only does it add a really good kick to anything you put it in. You could take a mild seasoning. You could take blue ribbon bratwurst, which nobody would say has any heat. Add ghost pepper cheese to it, and it is instantly a hot sausage and delicious. Absolutely great flavor. So it's light. This beer is poured in. It looks like a real hazy IPA, but it is, it's super good, but like I said, it keeps confusing my taste buds. I keep thinking it's a stout when I drink it, and it tastes like it initially, but then it devolves into something else. I don't know. Gary, that depends. In a smoker, I just use a shower cycle, but the smoker that we use most of the time now has a fan, so it does a minute shower, 2 minutes fan, or the other way around, 2 minutes shower, 1 minute fan, and then back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If you just have a smoker like our PK100, when I'm using that, I just use an ice bath. I'm not going to spend the time spraying it down, waiting, blowing a fan on it, spraying it down, waiting. I just throw them in an ice bath. So if you're using a commercial smoker, definitely use the shower cycle. If you're doing it at home, I just use an ice bath. So we started something last week, right? Yeah, last week. We're calling it Seasoning Sunday. So every Sunday, we'll feature a seasoning. We'll try and talk about what we like best about the seasoning, some cool things to do it on, Patrick came up with uncommon couplings? No, combinations. Uncommon combinations where we take something like chorizo seasoning and talk about how you can sprinkle it onto cauliflower and roast it, and it's delicious. We also talk about what proteins we like it best with, what's in it, why stuff is in it, and we started adding what beer pairs best with the main thing. So like for chorizo, obviously chorizo is, mostly made as a sausage, even though you can make it as a snack stick. So we talked about a lager being perfect with the chorizo. So you've got the spiciness of the chorizo, strong aromatic taste, and then you've got slightly sweet malty flavor of a lager. So those come out on both our Facebooks, Meatgistics and Walton's. We also put them on our Twitter and our Instagram. What is a good non-dried snack stick that I'm not going to cure them? What is a good non-dried snack stick? So for something to be a snack stick, it has to be cured. You could make a fresh sausage in a snack stick size, but it can't be a snack stick. So kind of a lot there. Snack stick has a certain consistency to it. To achieve that consistency, you're going to have to mix it a lot to get to a protein extraction. The reason you're doing that is so that you can do a slow smoking process. If you didn't get that level of protein extraction and try to do that smoking process, your fat would render out of the meat and drip down onto the floor, or if you were laying them on a coil, it would just get trapped between the meat and the casing. If you're to do that, you have to cure it. So you could make a fresh sausage in a snack stick casing. I mean, that's perfectly fine, but then it needs to be grilled or cooked quickly. You can't achieve the same consistency or product when making it fresh, if that makes any sense. Sorry, I know I rambled there a little bit. Do you have anything to add to that? Daryl asked, what is a good non-dried snack stick that I'm not going to cure them? I think he's talking about non-cured snack stick is what I took away from that. I said it's not a snack stick at that point.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're just talking, it's a small diameter fresh sausage. Right. I mean, you lose a lot of the other properties with it, unless someone's talking about the fad going around of uncured bacon, uncured sausage, where it's still cured, but they're using like celery juice powder.
Nitrites,
yeah, it's no different. But
I don't really want to get into this, but real quick, for anyone who's big onto like the no nitrites added, I hope you're not eating any celery, because you're getting a lot more nitrites in that celery than you are in bacon or a snack stick. We can make a high-fat, low-carb snack stick. Is that what you were saying woo about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Only problem there is most of the snack stick seasonings are going to have a decent amount of sugar added. Now, once you break that down, it's not much. The only ones I would specifically stay away from are anything with barbecue in it.
Yeah, or
like
sweet.
The habanero barbecue, yeah. Mm-hmm. So just try and choose ones that don't have anything in it that sounds sweet, and the percentage of of sugar is going to be so low that it's low carb. But if you're eating habanero barbecue summer sausage, that's not low carb. That's like a 5-pound bag that's about half sugar.
Yeah, there's so much sugar in there. But
the other ones, yeah. So that might also be a good way to go about it, is look at the size of the bag of seasoning. If it's a small bag of seasoning, that's a good indication that it doesn't have much salt or sugar in it.
Yeah, at least that it's not a large bag of seasoning, because your small to mid-range could be very variable on, is it mostly salt or does it have some other stuff in it, like how many different spices are in it.
Right.
As long as it's not a large bag.
Yeah, stay away from the large bags. But yeah, then add, so I'm assuming you're asking for like a keto reason. We kind of looked into trying to figure that out before, but it's just really not feasible. just stay away from anything that has like barbecue or sweet in it. And as far as how much fat you use, if you use more fat, just make sure that you're getting a really good protein extraction on it to keep it all bind together. And then use Sure-Gel to keep everything in the casing. If you tried to make like a 50-50 snack stick and you didn't add Sure-Gel, actually, yeah, you'd have to use Sure-Gel. It wouldn't matter how much protein extraction you got. You'd get a lot of fat rendering out. So if you're going to try something like a 50-50, use Sure-Gel. You're still going to get some fat out, but it might not be terrible.
Yeah, just for some curiosity, like we probably shouldn't prioritize it, but if we get some time, we should tinker with that and yeah, make a 50-50 sausage. Put Sure-Gel, soy protein,
Keep it in there.
everything in it we can that adds some protein to it to help with the protein extraction and encapsulate the fat. But yeah, I don't know what you would end up with on a 50-50 sausage. Could you make it correctly?
Yeah.
You can make it, but can you make it correctly?
When you're saying sausage, you mean sausage or you mean snack stick? Because sausage, I can make a 50-50, no problem.
Well, okay. Cured sausage of some
cured
sort.
sausage.
Any type of cured sausage. Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that. So for summer sausage, use fibrous casings. You can also use the inedible collagen casings, but I just use fibrous casings. We've got them in 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 2 inch, 2.9 inch. Got a bunch of different options for you. Mahogany, clear, camo. So yeah, fibrous, easiest way to go about that.
Should we go to the giveaway for the deal? Draw some hats?
Sure.
You want to draw since I drew for the other one?
Yeah, no, sorry, I'm just reading this. Try brown butter and either salami or pepperoni in the butter, as well as your bacon, and then cook your eggs in the butter.
What is brown butter?
So my wife makes brown butter cookies. I think that's what he's talking about. If that's what it is, I mean, that sounds really good. You see Ghost of the Ozarks?
Yeah.
All right. Drawing a winner. This first winner will be for the Walton's Ultimate Knife. That. Allow repeat winners. Well, I don't know if that's it. All right. North Carolina, I guess I'll do it your way, is person was in North Carolina. Name is Audrey Golden. So Audrey Golden won the Walton's Ultimate Knife Set.
With John's favorite knife. I think we might need to change the name to
John's favorite knife.
Walton's Ultimate Knife Set with John's favorite knife. JFK.
Yeah, that does work.
Twipey.
Hey,
that's
congratulations.
Me. Cool.
That's awesome, Audrey. I will go ahead and email you on Monday or Tuesday. I keep saying Monday. Tuesday, we'll get your information. We'll get that sent right out to you. Hopefully, that big storm is gonna miss you. I don't think it's gonna hit anywhere near North Carolina. South Carolina's kind of in the.
I don't know. They're talking about it just kind of running up along the
saying
coast.
That now?
Yeah. So it may be like hurricane status
terrible.
for days going along the coast.
That is terrible. All right, so we're gonna draw a couple winners for hats real quick. Oh, can I keep drawing winners?
I don't know.
Let's see if Austin can fix what I've done and make it work.
We can always fix it. Give us like just 60 seconds here. We'll fix it and we'll start drawing more winners. I think.
So Ghost Hunter of the Ozarks, jokingly, I'm assuming, said, so celery causes cancer. That's, I mean, nitrites and cancer have been linked for a very, long time. And there've been a lot of studies that show that there's not really any solid science behind that, except for when something that's been or had nitrates added to it is charred. That's why there's very strict parts per million allowances for bacon. Bacon is the one food that you cure and can be charred. But at 120 for dry rub or injection and 200 for dry rub, that's within perfectly fine or perfectly safe uses. So nitrites don't cause cancer.
Okay, should I draw?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, we've got one out of North Carolina again, but we've also got Wisconsin, Illinois, Tennessee, and Illinois. I drew 5.
Wow.
So if you're in Wisconsin, Illinois, North Carolina, Tennessee, you still got a chance. We've got Brent Schubel out of, I can't pronounce that, Eau Claire, E-A-U Claire, I don't know, sounds French or something.
Eclair?
Eclair.
Eclair?
Eclair. Eclair, Wisconsin. Rita Anderson out of Moline, Illinois. Dan Crossman out of Clayton, North Carolina. Rhonda Grishman out of Lebanon, Tennessee. And Vic Vicari out of Marion, Illinois. So if we have anybody here still watching, let us know, sound off in the comments. Otherwise, we will email everybody and try to get a hold of you on Tuesday, not Monday.
Real quick, Gary, once you add the encapsulated citric acid to your mix, how long can you wait to smoke it? I'm assuming you're saying can, not do you, because you don't wait to smoke it. You go directly to your smoker, and that's always what we would recommend. Leaves the least amount of room for something to go wrong and ruin your product. Because if that encapsulation breaks, your whole batch is basically ruined. But you can hold it. So that cottonseed oil is specifically designed to not break down until it reaches a certain temperature. The problem being, as you're mixing it in, there's a high chance that some of that got broken. So if you hold it, you're running the risk of some of that leaking out, getting into your meat, denaturing your proteins, and kind of ruining your batch. So the answer is to be safe, can't hold it. Go right to the smoker.
So I really like a comment by Texas Style Barbecue and Cuisine. He says the danger for dying from nitrites and nitrates is much lower than dying from food poison for not using it. I'd agree with that.
Oh, that's very
honestly,
accurate.
even, I'm not saying there is a problem with any of the stuff that goes on in the meat industry, because I don't think there is, but if there was, it would be better off than food poisoning. Like the safety standards that are in place today save a whole lot of people from food poisoning.
Yep.
So.
Especially in the elderly and the very young.
True.
Somebody just said they're from Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Can you call who won from Eau Claire again?
Yeah,
I think he won.
Yeah, Brent Schubel.
Oh, okay. So Brent, I don't know if you're saying that you won, but
yeah, he won.
He did. Okay.
Yeah, he won.
Did he say that he was?
Yeah, he said he won,
okay.
and he's on the Gleam entry. Yeah.
All right, so real quick, we'll hang around for just a couple more minutes. Were there any questions that anyone had that we didn't answer?
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
We're done. We're never answering another question on
Well,
snack sticks.
Not forever. I mean, if they want to chime in next month, I mean, are we going to answer it?
No.
No?
We're done. Never talk about snack sticks again.
Man, John is really cutthroat today.
And I saw some people from Florida. Good luck. I hope it's not as bad as it looks right now. I know being in Florida, you're probably used to it, but just be careful.
Steel Horses says, what is the shelf life of spice mixes? Technically, if they're kept in the right environment, I wouldn't say there is a shelf life. They'll be fine as long as they're stored in a sealed container. However, after about 18 to 24 months, they're going to start to degrade. So if
lose potency.
Yeah, lose potency. So your you're not going to have an issue on the safety of using them, but you're going to have an issue on the amount of flavor that you get out of a product. So if you've had something for more than about 18 to 24 months, it's probably time to throw it away.
Yeah, Gary, we'll get our sound figured out for next time. Sorry about that.
One of these times we're not going to do something different. Because like
No,
we do
won't.
we
That's
do
not as
something
much fun.
different and
But that's what makes it fun.
oh, for sure. I mean,
For us.
as
At
long
least I
as
don't know if it's fun for them.
yeah. I assume it's still fun because we keep growing in viewers on the live stream, so
That's guilt in that voice. He's still here. Nick wants to know where his calendar is.
Nick, I've been working on my
No, he has not been. He has not been. The problem is I'm sure when I took this job, you made me sign something that said that my likeness could be used for anything. I had 2 hogs butchered and have a ton of ground pork. I want to do a bunch of flavors for brats. Do I need to regrind or just mix and stuff? Just mix and stuff. Well, it depends. How are they ground? Are they ground 1/3 or 3/8? If they're ground 1/3 or 3/8, I'd grind it again once through like a 3/16. Yeah, I would just go 3/16. But if they're just ground 1/3 or 3/8, yeah, you want to grind again. It'll be a better mix. The seasoning will mix in better. But if they're ground through a 3/8 and a 3/16, just mixing stuff.
Texas Style Barbecue is asking, do you guys ever make it out of the studio to teach or film videos like down here to Texas? John is never allowed to leave the studio. There's like a caged dog box over here that we store him in at all times, and he never leaves this room.
No, that's true.
No, in all
That's
seriousness,
why we built this nice kitchen for me.
we make his wife come here to visit him.
She loves that. Doesn't have to deal with me all the time.
No, in all seriousness, we have only got out a little bit.
It'll start increasing though.
Yeah, we'll start doing maybe a little bit more. I wouldn't expect to see us like out in other places all the time. But last year we went to Minnesota to film 5-6 videos with the Ron Shera crew up there on some of the TV shows that we advertise in. We're helping them get some content on making food at home. We have toyed around with some other ideas on doing some other stuff, some collaboration style videos. One of our new I guess we're the advertiser, but who we're advertising with, we've been talking with them there about trying to do a collaboration video, and there's been some other ideas tossed around. Eventually, we'd like to see more and more of that, but that's just a thing that comes as we grow and we get bigger on the video side of things here. So you'll see us more. If somebody out there wants to do a collaboration video with us, let us know. Go on Meatgistics and send us your idea. No promises at all that we're going to be able to do something, but we're always open to ideas.
Absolutely.
So if you have something, let us know, and I can at least promise you that we will consider anything.
Yeah, and opportunities like that are like, that's why I get to go to South Dakota and go hunting.
And if we're going to Texas, does anyone out there, can they hook us up with a helicopter hog hunt?
I want to go hog hunting.
Yeah.
I want to do a Ted Nugent thing down there so bad. So bad. Because one, I mean, they're a real problem. In fact, I got to tell you, I hopefully started a conversation with somebody on Instagram where I told him if he actually killed a hog, I'd send him, like, well, don't worry about it. We'll talk about it. But yeah, because feral hogs, that's such a huge problem across the South. And everybody just wants to push it off, like, oh, you know, they're here. They're destroying
No, they're invading everything.
Just kill as many of those things as you can.
And then make sausage with Excalibur
Hams?
seasoning.
Sure, yes. But there were a couple other things. Make it out of the studio. Not snacks. Okay, we've done that. Southern Alabama, Florida, Panhandle here. Tashia, careful there. I know the Panhandle's on the other side, but still, good luck. We hope you're safe. So John says, so the snack stick ingredients sold in a package deal, is there an instruction book? So John, we would consider meatgistics.com the instruction book. There is the recipes section, how to make, it's a how to make meat recipes. Where we've got snack sticks. In Meatgistics University, we've got a whole cured sausage section where we have everything broken down into like different classes, and one of those classes specifically is basics of making snack sticks. And then there's also advanced cured sausage processing. So that should be more than enough information for you. In fact, sometimes I worry that it's too much information. But
I think that's his question, is he sees a lot of information, but where does he go? So where does he start? So a guy like that,
Meatgistics University.
somebody who's starting brand new, where do they want to go?
I would go to, if you're wanting to make snack sticks, the first thing I would read would be Meatgistics University, cured sausage. I mean, if you have time and start at 101 and go through, if you just want to learn just how to make the snack sticks, don't care about the science behind it, go to 106 or 107, whatever it is, basics for making snack sticks. Daryl, it depends on a lot of factors. It depends on your water activity, and it depends on your pH. Without a water activity meter, which are generally a couple $1,000s, there's no way to be sure. So cure it, get the pH low, and vac pack it, and don't keep it out of a freezer for more than 3 or 4 days. I mean, even in your fridge, 5 days. That's just the way it is. Hopefully, Texas, that's your internet.
And then Texas Style Barbecue commented below. He'd love to collab with y'all. Have 15 sausage making videos, have over 300,000 views, 2,700 subscribers. Yeah, let us know. You can send John or I a chat on meatgistics.com. We'll talk with you and see what we can figure out, come up with something. We're always in for having a fun time and doing new stuff.
I love Texas. Lived down there for 6 years.
Come work bees for a day.
Is that Nick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does Nick, the big question there is, one, do we get bee suits?
I want a bee suit. I'll do it, but I want a bee suit.
And then two, do you provide beer helmets that fit inside the bee suits? Because if I'm up there, I'm going to need beer to be around that many bees. But
ease the nerves. So Gary, I'm glad our customer service could help you out with that. Ari, I've never used moose meat, but for any of the ungulates, I'd recommend, if you can, not using their fat, use pork fat, and specifically use, there's a term called high on the hog, and that term apparently actually started from the higher the fat is on the hog, the better the fat is. So high back fat is what you want. So try and get back fat or fat from high back up on the hog and use that in place of your moose fat. I don't know that for sure. I've never actually made moose snack sticks, but that'd be my recommendation.
I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but what would be the theory then as to why bacon is so good? Because bacon is low belly fat.
But bacon is not good for making sausage.
So it's good to eat,
fat,
just
right,
not
it's
good for sausage.
Yeah,
so the fat is more of a sausage scenario.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because it sounded like you were talking down on bacon there, and we were about to have a throwdown. I'm kidding. Curing wild hogs, any different from domestic? From Chris M. Wait, is that a yes?
No, yeah. Not from a process standpoint, but from a taste standpoint.
Oh, from a taste, yeah. Yeah, like we were talking earlier, every different type of protein is going to end up having a different taste. You use the same seasoning, and it's going to taste different, but that's just the nature of the beast because of the animal, the protein. But the process, yeah, I wouldn't change a thing. If you're doing hams, doesn't matter what type of protein. If you're making snack sticks, doesn't matter what type of protein. Do the same process.
But with a wild hog and a regular hog, right, which was his question, I mean, it's the same animal. It's just one's free and they're the same animal. They're the exact same species.
No.
Oh, yes, they are. There's only one species of hog. It's just if they're feral or not.
So if I go to the store and I buy a pack of bacon,
right?
It's the same species as the wild hog that's like running out there?
Yep. It's just once they get free, like they're not fed all the time anymore, something triggers in them. They grow all the hair, males grow the tusks, and because they're not neutered, they taste terrible.
Really?
Or can taste terrible. But mostly, and again, this isn't all from experience. Most of it is based on what they're eating, what they're tasting like. If they're out there in they're eating acorns 24/7, they're gonna taste delicious. But if they're eating garbage, they're eating nasty stuff, they're gonna taste feral, especially the males. No, he says they're all different breeds, but they're all the same species.
How's that possible?
How would it be not possible?
I don't know. I'm not a biology major. I don't know the different species, but it sounds the species is the most specific, like.
Right, it's the most.
Unit,
it's the
right?
furthest down.
Yeah.
Right. So like a Clydesdale and a quarter horse are both horses, but they're both horses.
I guess that makes sense.
Yep. Same genus, different species. Yep, there you go.
Oh, okay.
All right, how much pink sugar should I use for a 3-inch thick shoulder cut? Instead of cured whole hams, I'm trying thinner cut roasts. Don't worry about how thick it is. Worry about the weight, and also that might change the amount of time you're curing it, not the amount of cure you're using. Cure will generally penetrate 1 inch a day. So if you're brining it, you don't have to brine it that long. Brine it for 36 hours. Right? Yeah, brine for 36 hours. But use the right amount of cure for the amount of weight of the meat you're doing. 400 pounds of hog.
It's big.
That's insane. God.
Can't pronounce the username here, but after I slice my top round, I vacuum seal it in smaller bags to quickly lose the pink color. Should I be not using the sealer to keep it fresh? Definitely use the vacuum sealer. Yep. However, some of it could depend on how good your vacuum sealer is. Every vacuum sealer is different, and the way that meat changes colors has everything to do with the air and what type of air is hitting it. Because is it nitrogen, carbon dioxide, is it oxygen? You can go to the store and you can buy meat that's in one of the like kind of like tray packages with the plastic on the top, and there is air inside there, and it's just a modified atmosphere packaging, a matte packaging, and it's perfectly fine.
Right.
And it looks great. But if you set the same piece of meat into a Tupperware container and just close the lid, it's closed and sealed, it would look horrible after a while. So it just depends on what contact the meat has been in with different air particles, and what is going on there.
And it's the amount of hemoglobin in it too.
Yeah, it's not necessarily bad. It could be bad. If you smell it, you can feel it. Is it slimy? Does it smell bad? But if it's just a look, it's just more of a aesthetic type of thing. I don't see it as being a big issue.
It also might go back to a much more red color once you reintroduce oxygen to it.
Yeah.
So Rich people ate higher on the hog. Poor people ate parts closer to the ground. Therefore, if you're living high on the hog, you're doing very well. To me, that makes a lot more sense. So I'm going to have a conversation with somebody here about that.
Where'd you get that from? Somebody here?
Uh-huh.
What are their initials?
DW.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I like that better. That makes more sense to me.
I've heard that one before. That makes sense now, yeah. I'll have to talk to DW and see what he was thinking.
I learned something yesterday while I smoked the brisket. The fat that was cut off, we smoked. It also what flavor it took on. I don't understand. So you cut off the fat, but then you still smoke the fat?
Thinking of smoking fat, one thing we need to do around here is we need to smoke a pork belly. Not cure it, not turn it into bacon, just smoke a pork belly. It's amazing. When you go eat that, cut it in like chunks, you'll get chunks that are like straight up fat. But you eat that and it is delicious.
Kurt sent me something on that like a month ago.
It's amazing.
We'll do that.
Wait, are you like advertising for? I'm kidding. I don't care.
Nobody knows what those are. So adding a beer, I'm assuming he's adding a beer while he's making his sausage. Yeah, absolutely changes the flavor. You can use beer instead of water. Just add your favorite beer. I like to add a stout, but that's because I'm a freak for stouts. And IPAs are nasty.
Stouts are
Patrick wants to
gross.
go home.
Stouts are gross. IPAs are good.
That's ridiculous.
See, Patrick agrees.
So burnt ends are, that's a great question. Burnt ends are like when you're squaring up a bacon, you're not going to get all the way to either end. So you cut off those, smoke them, basically fry them in their own fat, and they are awesome. Put on some different seasoning on them. We use the Excalibur, I think it was the St. Louis rub. Yeah, we took I don't think they have that anymore, do they? The mango moonshine?
I don't know. They've been on a discontinuing spree.
Right, sweet. But yeah, so you basically, you can put them in like a 2-pound or 5-pound foil pan, throw them in your smoker at 225, just let them cook in their own fat. They're awesome. So you can do bacon burnt ends and brisket burnt ends. We sometimes used to make bacon here, really just for the burnt ends. Ooh. Can you add mead to sausage?
What would high alcohol content, like, would it chemically affect the meat, or would it be fine? It's gonna all cook off though.
Mead's made from honey and right? What makes mead is honey and something else, I think. But yeah, it should all cook off. If you're making a fresh, I'd be more prone to think that's fine than if you're trying to make it cured. Trying to make it cured, I'd worry. I have no evidence to back this up, but I'd worry that it would do something to the proteins. I don't know what. Jason, the winner of the grinder was Audrey Golden. And if you are looking at the number 12, we have the 750 watt on sale this month. It should be on sale right now. Very good grinder. Two things just need to look at or think about it a little bit. Is one, it doesn't have the permanently lubricated motor, so it can't be run for more than I think 5 or 6 minutes at a time. Then you need to give it a little rest just to let the motor cool back down, and it's loud. Now, it's not as loud as some of their other small ones, but it's going to be a lot louder than the Butcher Series grinder. Still does a great job, and it chews through meat pretty quick for a number 12, but also on sale, it's $179, and you're not going to buy another quality grinder for $179, really. So I made Landjäger. What's that? Oh, okay. I made a smoked Landjäger. Didn't do the dry cured thing, but our Landjäger seasoning is awesome. That stuff was delicious. Real nice, light, fresh taste. I tried my best to flatten it out, but it just kept plumping back up during the smoking process. But yeah, we've got a video on it somewhere in Meatgistics University or Meatgistics University specialty sausage. So yeah, it was absolutely delicious. Yeast alters the proteins in grains, so it might be the same as proteins in meat. Might be worth research. So yeah, it might be, but I mean, everybody makes beer brats all the time, so it can't be much. Did we look up what actually constitutes meat or mead?
Like fermented honey?
Yeah, honey.
Yeah.
That'd be my concern, is what's it going to do?
Yeah, the
ferment.
Anytime you're doing something else that is a chemical change,
right,
it worries me in meat,
right,
because what's going to happen to the nitrite, like when you're curing something, what's going to happen to the protein, I just don't know.
So without testing, I can't say, but I would say your best bet would be to try it on a fresh sausage, because that alleviates my main concern on what it's doing. The protein is not allowing it to bind together. We could try that too. We've got a couple good ideas out of this. No, I'll remember them.
There's been a lot that we need to write down from today. So to backtrack onto the jerky maker question.
I didn't even see it.
We have a couple different products that have gone out of stock. We've got the rapid patty maker and the all-around jerky maker, both of which they are discontinued at the moment, but they are not fully discontinued. We're working on it. We're trying to find a replacement, trying to get them back again. I don't have an ETA on things. I'm just looking to see if I could find what the last communication was here internally on stuff here. But we will have something again on those items, but not right now, and don't expect it in the next few weeks. We're talking like 4 or 5 months from now. It's a process. Trying to get manufacturing stuff figured out does not happen overnight.
And the good news, though, if you have one you're not using, you can probably sell it on eBay for a lot right now.
Yeah.
People are looking for them.
If you have an all-around jerky maker,
are looking for them.
They're worth a fair penny right now. So Jim, just out of curiosity, you said you finally got on so you could see comments. Where were you before? Where were you having issues? Was it something on our site, or were you directly on YouTube? Just trying to get an idea on where the issue was, because we're always looking to make things better. So if it was on our side, we'll see if we can make some changes there.
They are. Yes, Michael Hunkins, that's what they are, and they're delicious. Should make broths with those. Grind those up right into the meat. Ooh, so good.
Killer.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah, we've
got to remember to do that. What we should do, and what we will do from now on, is the beginning of every live stream, we'll give instructions on how to do that. There's Like on iPhone, there's 3 buttons you hit, get you to thing that says view.
Desktop. Yeah.
View as desktop. That's what does it.
For some reason, YouTube does not allow the comments or the chat to appear when you're on a mobile device, unless you're in the YouTube app. Now, personally, I think it's probably 100% fine. There's no issue with it. They just don't want you on someone else's deal. They want you on YouTube doing it in their app.
Which is understandable.
Which makes sense, yeah. But it's also kind of a pain at times.
It can be. Yep. But let's be honest. I mean, it's all the money they have to go through for. Very understandable that they want people doing it on their app. So.
Yeah.
All right, I don't really see any questions we haven't answered, do you?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Should we head out?
Yeah, I think we're good. All right, everybody, have a great Labor Day tomorrow. Hope you're all doing something fun, eating some sausage, eating something barbecued, something good. Obviously, we hope you made it with Walton's products. And congratulations to all the winners.
We'll see you next month.
See you guys.
Thanks, everybody.